So what happens when the hillbilly Kobe just becomes Kobe? Like the white version. Alright, so I'm obviously being a lot of bit hyperbolic, but the leap that Austin Reaves has taken this season has Mamba mentality written all over it. Because HBK is somehow doing things and hitting new heights that not even the most optimistic Austin Reaves stans would have been able to predict. This year, through 18 games, Austin Reaves has career highs all across the board: 28.5 points, 6 rebounds, 6.7 assists, on a ridiculous 51.6% from the field, knocking down 2.7 threes a game, with a career high 1.3 steals per game to boot. Austin's 28.5 points per game is 11th in the entire NBA. His 6.7 assists ranks 14th across the league. He is also the owner of the second highest field goal percentage in the fourth quarter, behind just Giannis Antetokounmpo, making him also the most efficient guard in the fourth quarter in the entire NBA. Look, say what you want about Austin Reaves and his deficiencies, this isn't the playoffs, we all know that, yada yada yada. But this isn't normal. And these aren't just all-star numbers for Austin Reaves. These are almost MVP candidate type numbers. And the only reason why he won't seriously be considered for that award is because his teammate is one of the MVP frontrunners in Luka Doncic. But superlatives aside, this year, Austin Reaves is proving that he's more than just a superstar role player, and he's more than just a third guy. So like this video, comment down below, and please hit subscribe, and let's talk more about the most improved player of the year, a surefire all-star, a not so far-fetched MVP candidate through the early part of this season, the man they call him, Austin Reaves. With that said, Tommy, let's continue the conversation about Austin, because we were wrong about Austin Reaves again, or at least I'll admit that I continue to be wrong. And I guess, a little bit of recency bias again from his playoff series against the Minnesota Timberwolves. And I do want to caveat things that this is the regular season and we haven't reached this year's playoffs, and that the true tale of Austin Reaves and how much he's grown will be told this upcoming playoffs. Having said that, I don't think anybody expected for Austin to do whatever the hell he's doing right now. We probably surmise Austin will take another leap, but 20 points and 6 assists from last season. If he doesn't take another leap, if he keeps doing that, that's totally fine to great,
Yeah.
What he's doing right now, I honestly can't even really comprehend. And I think that's why there's like cognitive dissonance in people's minds, where it's almost like, I know the Linsanity thing has been thrown out there. It's obviously not apples to apples, but I can understand why that phrase is being thrown out there, because the numbers are so bonkers, even in comparison to Austin's stellar season last year. But I did not expect Austin to handle himself with such composure. I feel like Austin has proven himself almost, I don't want to say beyond a doubt, but I will give him the benefit of the doubt more often than not moving forward, just because has he still had turnovers? Yes, but it doesn't seem like Austin's going to stop improving. Whereas I think, there were a couple stages throughout Austin's progression, throughout the progression of this podcast analyzing Austin, where we would continually ask, okay, it seems like Austin has hit a ceiling here. And if he hits it here, that's totally fine. And then he takes a couple of weeks or months to adjust, and then he takes another leap. And so now we're seeing the all-star leap in full fruition this season, it seems like. Those numbers pretty much tell the tale. But yeah, what are your thoughts on Austin, and what's changed in your eyes? You mentioned his conditioning, and I definitely think that's a huge factor. But I also think, I don't know how this is possible. Maybe it is because of the conditioning, but he looks faster this year, and Austin was already fast, but it seems like relentlessly fast, and it's still a little helter-skelter, herky-jerky, but I feel like Austin is like, I'm putting my head down no matter what. And I think he did bulk up a little bit, and I think that's maybe helping him sort of initiate the contact more and actually follow through to the point where he is putting the onus on the officials. Whereas last year, when he was still a little bit slight of frame, when he would gain the contact, he would just kind of throw up a non-shot. But this year, it seems like he's just following through with the actions more. And honestly, when he's initiating that contact and he's being that quick, as the official, you're kind of just like, I gotta blow the whistle because it's not like a BS shot that he's putting up anymore, you know? So, and Austin's always been a high free throw rate guy. It just seems like this year he's just honestly hit another gear and he's beating people to the spots. And if he's not beating people to the spots, he's sort of forcing the issue for better or for worse. And so far, it's just been for the better. And overall, just like him being more decisive, and then his decision making, particularly in the pick and roll, has been vastly improved. But yeah, your thoughts on Austin? What you think is sort of quote unquote factored into his leap this season?
Yeah, I mean, I've just been extremely impressed. Every time I think how, I mean, we've talked about this definitely over the summer. I can't remember if it was on the pod or not, but how much ceiling is there? How much room is there to this actual ceiling, right? It's like 20 and 6 last year on pretty good efficiency, as the third option the entire year, and the third option next to two different sets of stars. Over the entire year. There are not a lot of guys in the league that could have done that. And so you wonder, like, I'm pretty sure I did think, like, well, if he kind of just does that again, that'll probably be pretty good. And then he's probably worth keeping. You know, it is a small sample. It's early regular season. It's a long grind to get through the 82 game season. But if he's able to do this in the playoffs, I don't know what this guy is worth, because this is insane what we're seeing right now. I think the thing that's the most jarring about it, and why I point back to the conditioning, is it feels sustainable this year. I do think that last year in the playoffs, he sort of got an unfair shake. I think that, the injury was downplayed. It was not mentioned at all during the series. We didn't hear about it till the end. It turned out the injury that he had was essentially what kept Darius Garland out for half of the Cavs postseason run last year. And by the way, when Garland came back, he scored like 14 points a game on 30% shooting or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was extremely ineffective, could barely play, and when he didn't play very efficiently. So, that was a substantial injury. And Austin in that series did not look like the Austin that we knew in the last few months of the season. Now, we probably maybe unrightfully assumed that that was because of Minnesota's physicality. And partially it probably was a little bit because of Minnesota's physicality, but it didn't really look like the same guy. And this year, it sort of looks like he took what he started in those last 3 months of the season and just elevated it. I mean, again, guy doesn't really focus on himself that much. But there were talks about how over the summer and during media day, right? It's like, well, apparently Austin gained 15 pounds of muscle. That's like a big deal. You know what I mean? Apparently Austin, he's committed to conditioning. Okay, sure, we've heard it before. Let's see it. And now you're kind of seeing it. Now it's like Austin comes in, we're down. He immediately takes and makes a three and like reestablishes order. And he had some comment where he said, like, now that I'm starting to take more of like a leadership role, it's like I have to be cognizant of like my body language and all this on the court, because guys are looking to me, and I can't look disappointed or frustrated. I just have to keep pushing. And it's like his mental state right now is just, it's at such an elite level. And to kind of, again, getting back to my first point, if he can sustain this for 82 games, I forget about the actual literal numbers, but if he can sustain this like sort of mental engagement and efficiency and attention to like winning basketball, there's no cap on what you could. I mean, there's a salary cap, but in my mind, he is just like insanely valuable. He's proven enough to me right now to feel like if LeBron retired after this season or left, we already kind of have a pretty solid second option to put next to Luka. Like, you still want to add, or maybe go out and find like a quote unquote another star. I mean, again, remains to be seen what happens with Austin this year. Maybe he becomes an all-star, but you still want to go find somebody else, as every team does, that everybody wants like three guys. And maybe Austin gets bumped down again to the third. But you're not going to be a lotto team with Luka Doncic and Austin Reaves and like, the types of athletic sort of two-way players that we see more defensive-minded two-way players that we seem more interested in acquiring these days. So,
Yeah.
I just like I'm extremely, extremely optimistic about Austin's future now. And yeah, I don't know. It's weird because you kind of want to just cap him as like, well, he's still a 6'4" guard. He's not super athletic. His defense is sort of like on a good day average. But at the end of the day, like again, without over analyzing things, basketball is like the team with the five best players on the court is going to win. When you get down into individual play management, sure, there are things where it's like, okay, well, it would be nice to have this type of archetype to plug in this circumstance. But at the end of the day, if you have a team with LeBron James, Austin Reaves, and Luka Doncic, those are three extremely high level players. The best players are going to be on the court, and Austin has gotten so good at the things that we've asked him to do. I mean, he would have to be like Trey Young defense to like be like, I don't know, is he worth it? But he's like not, right? And so I continue to think that like this, whatever I think the ceiling is for this guy, he's going to keep exceeding it. So again, all this caveated by 5 game sample, but the last 3 months, how he looked in preseason, how he's looked so far, in the regular season, it just feels like he took a major, major leap. And I was expecting, progress, but not a major leap. And yeah, I don't know what to say about his the cap of his upside. It's like it's infinite at this point.
Well, I think it's just it's forcing a paradigm shift onto us where I think both you and I, we were like, we're keeping Austin no matter what because it makes fiscal, practical sense, right? Now it's just kind of like, actually, I think it's just a necessity because who gives away Kobe Bryant? So I'm not saying like Austin Reaves is Kobe Bryant, but like the more that he plays this way, the more he sort of cements himself, to your point, as that number two next to Luka Doncic. And who's to say that the aesthetics are a little bit different here, but who's to say that Austin Reaves isn't having his Jalen Brunson breakout, but next to Luka Doncic, if the Dallas Mavericks had kept Jalen Brunson, if you know what I'm saying. So, and Jalen Brunson, I believe, was an all-star, right? I think with the Knicks or something. So, I mean, Austin Reaves could be having that similar progression. And honestly, at this point, we were having conversations about is Austin's definitely going to get probably 30 million at this point. I don't know, kind of makes me queasy. These are the things that we were saying in the summer. Now I'm like, dude, just give Austin has such a low cap hold of like 24 million this upcoming summer. And if we're smart with our money, yeah, we're going to be pinched into making a decision this offseason with regards to how we want to move forward with our roster. And kind of, we're going to have to do all of our moves and make all the right decisions this summer. But if we do that, Austin has such a low cap hold that I'm okay with giving him whatever the heck he wants. Like $40 million for Austin sounds steep, maybe come back to bite us at some point, but he's shown enough improvement year after year that you kind of just got to bet on the guy the way that he's bet on himself. And if a guy like Desmond Bane is getting $44 million a year and then it continues to rise annually, why isn't Austin Reaves worth that?
Right.
So that's kind of where we're at with Austin, which is crazy. And we'll see how that goes. But I think at this point, I'll just shut my mouth and continue to say I was wrong about Austin Reaves until he stops leaping, I guess. All right. With that said,